Okay, this is the next video in the writing workshop, and it is about analysing your evidence. So what does it mean to analyse? Well, if you were in science and I said go and analyse a cell, you would probably tell me about all its individual parts. For example, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and it affects the whole cell in such a way. That's what analysing is. It's breaking down its small parts and applying it to the big part. So we do the same thing in literature. So break down the small parts and discuss how they contribute to the whole. Make inferences to explain what is not said on top of what is said. Draw links between things from out the story and bigger ideas or things out of the story, such as events in history, other books, or the author. So drawing links is one way to analyse. Point out elements and write about why they're important, so identifying things and explain why are they important to the whole story. And compare and contrast characters, devices, the story to other stories or events outside of the text, or conflicts, or anything. So leveling analysis. Well, level 1 is identify. What can you see? For example, a literary device like imagery or similes, metaphors, personification. Perhaps you see some really interesting characterization. Then, what is it saying? What does it mean? Here are some phrases you can use to help you. Don't say this shows. Try to avoid saying this shows. Level 2 would be interpreting that. So what does it show about the character? See the irony here. What does it show about the character? Tone, setting, plot. So that use phrases like this reveals, this highlights, this signifies, this indicates. Avoid using show all the time. And finally, level 3, apply. So how does the evidence you've got develop a theme, add to the author's style, or relate to character development? What connections can you make to real life events, the author's life, or other texts? Use words like suggest, demonstrates, indicates, alludes to, is important, because. So let's have a look what these levels look like in action. So let's go back to our evidence from the last video. So one example is the beach, which is scattered with decaying coconuts and palm saplings. Along the beach are young palm trees which were unable to grow to any height, and when having reached a few years, they fell and dried. Level 1, identify. Right, it's deaf imagery. It's saying the trees are dying young, they're not growing old. Palm saplings or baby trees are juxtaposed or contrasted with decaying or dying coconuts. Well, that's what it says. That's all that is. I'm identifying what it is. It's deaf imagery. And I'm saying what it basically says. Level 2 is interpret. What's the importance of it? Well, it's saying nothing grows old on the island. So here it just says the dying young palm trees fell and dried when they reached a few years, right? But as far as the book's concerned, applying this to the whole setting, nothing grows old on the island, which could foreshadow the death of the children if they stay on the island. The children are mirrored by the palm saplings and young trees. They will not grow old if they stay. So I've identified the deaf imagery and said what it means. Now I've tried to interpret or infer what's not in the text to say it's deeper meaning. This is level 2. If I want to get them A's, I need to go level 3. Apply. Golding contrasting islands in other shipwreck stories which are shown as paradises. So here we can see it's a bit scary. The setting's not very nice. The island's deadly. However, in other stories, such as The Coral Island by R.M. Ballantyne, it's a paradise. Perhaps Golding has done this deliberately. So if I look here, I've got a magnifying glass. I'm just looking at the individual words and phrases and devices. Okay, I'm not straying outside of that. I'm just looking at these, finding them and saying what they mean. I put on my glasses, I look at the whole book now. Well, in terms of the book, it's saying this, it's foreshadowing things. Its deeper meaning is this. Then I stand at the top of my mountain, my level 3 mountain, look out to the whole world and try to make connections to things outside of the books with my binoculars. And I can make a connection to the Coral Island, another story of which William Golding even refers to in Lord of the Flies, using my binoculars. So now I need to put it together. Well, William Golding uses death imagery to foreshadow the deadly ending in Lord of the Flies. One example is the beach, which is scattered with decaying coconuts and palm saplings. Along this beach are young palm trees which are unable to grow at any height, and when having reached a few years, they fell and dried. Golding has used death imagery of the dying coconuts and trees to convey the idea that the island is no paradise. I've not used shows here. I'm just doing level 1. Just identifying that it's death imagery and what it's for. Through mirroring the children with palm saplings and young trees which die young, it foreshadows the death of the children. Okay, now I'm going on to level 2. Perhaps Golding wanted to reveal his savage themes and views on human nature through the island. Unlike similar, more positive books such as Owen Ballantyne's The Coral Island, this story is alluded to by Golding in Lord of the Flies, where 3 British school children are shipwrecked on a paradise island and live very civilly with one another. A stark contrast to the violent end in Lord of the Flies. That's a level 3. I've taken my evidence, said what it is and what it means, applied it to the story, and then looked outside of the story to make connections to other things, events, people, or other books. Done. There you have it. That's how to analyse your evidence properly. Thanks for watching.